Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central. We talk about strategies, we share tips, success stories. We're here ultimately to support each of you. Today, we have a topic that I guess we've hit on before, but wanted to just make sure that it's top of mind awareness with each of you, because as you're assisting small business owners in their capital raise, it's important to understand, as stated here on the topic, there are three sources of capital. And frankly, there are only three sources of capital to start or grow a business. Back years ago when I worked for the SBA/SBDC, I did access to capital workshops, and I would typically teach with Brad. Brad also worked for the SBA, and previously he was a business banker, and this is part of the presentation that he always gave, and I love hearing him state it over and over. So today I want to share it with you in case you're not familiar with it. So this is a very basic concept. So if this is insulting to you, I apologize. But the problem is you probably know a whole lot more than the clients and prospective clients you visit with. So let's focus on the basics for a moment. So many people overlook the important realization that there are only three sources of capital, and a successful raise may incorporate all three elements. So am I saying that every capital raise would incorporate all three elements? No, the word may is here, but it is important to understand that there are only three sources of capital. What you won't see on this list are grants, because if someone is planning to start or grow a for-profit business off of free money, off of grants, that is not a good strategy. Might happen, but it's not A, what you and I do, and B, it's not very predictable. So there are only three sources of capital, and grants are not one of the three. All right, so let's start with capital source number one, earned income. This is typically measured by income generated by the business. So in other words, we make sales, we pay our expenses, and if we have extra cash on hand, then that could obviously be reinvested back into the business. Now, again, don't turn me off here and say, well, this doesn't apply. If it's a brand new business, they don't have any earned income. I didn't say every business has earned income, did I? I said this is one of three sources of capital, and that we shouldn't overlook the fact that earned income is one source of capital to start or grow a business. Now, the good news is you and I can help create earned income for clients. And by having increased earned income, this is going to improve their liquidity, improve their working capital, and obviously make them more attractive for the other two sources of capital. Granted, we haven't gotten to those yet. So what's our 2 cents opinion? Many entrepreneurs underemphasize the importance and value of earned income. I was talking to Tony this morning. He's one of our white label partners. He's on the training now live. And we had a great discussion about this, is that we don't want to fall in love with other sources of capital and overlook the importance and value of good old-fashioned earned income. In other words, our business is out there selling some good or service to some client, and we're making money. Now, again, I understand. Let's say that you and I want to go buy an apartment complex, and we're like, well, we're not going to generate any rents from the apartment complex until we buy the apartment complex. So there's not going to be earned income in advance from rent until we can afford to buy the apartment complex. Understood. So there are some circumstances like that, but we could always be creative. Maybe we do a little bit of consulting or a little bit of advisory services while we're leading up to the purchase of the apartment complex. That's certainly possible. But I do understand if you and I are going to go buy a Domino's pizza franchise, We're not going to make any money from selling pizzas through the franchise until we bought the franchise. I understand. But that is source of capital one, earned income. We need to be aware of that, right? So now we've covered that. Let's go to source of capital number two. This is debt. This is typically what you and I are helping clients with. Typically, you and I have clients that are coming to us collectively, you and I, and they want debt. They want to borrow money because that's what debt is. Now, debt can come in many different forms. It can be term loans, lines of credit, revolving accounts, etc. So there's not just one type of debt. What's amazing, though, is the power that you and I have, because anyone can qualify for debt-based capital. Now, how do you do that? Well, you have to meet the underwriting criteria, and we have to keep in mind that each source of debt-based capital has its own criteria. And that's where we've talked about the 3 C's before. So, wait, do you have to have good credit to take on debt? No. There are some sources of debt that do not look at credit. Wait, I have to have capacity, which also means cash flow. I have to have cash flow to qualify for debt? Not necessarily. There are different sources of debt. Some of them look at your capacity, some of them don't. Wait. You're saying that I have to have collateral to get debt? No. Some sources of debt do require collateral, others don't. So what you and I have to do, there's different levels of thinking, and a lot of people want simple, but the world's not really simple. So we do know that the 3 C's are a great guideline for qualifying for debt, but it's just not that simple. I was talking to one white label partner yesterday, and the truth is he got so mad he quit yesterday because he's simple, and I don't mean that negatively, but he's simple. So he wants yes or no answers to every question. But you and I know that there are 3 types of answers. Answers that are absolutely true, those that are absolutely false, and then those that are conditional. And the world is full of conditional. So if someone asks you, well, I have to have good credit to qualify for debt-based financing, it depends, right? In some cases, yes, depending upon the underwriting criteria. In some cases, no. So sometimes you just have to be thick-skinned, because a lot of people are simple thinkers. And just like the gentleman yesterday, when I couldn't give him a simple answer, I wasn't avoiding it at all. In fact, I was being very transparent. But some people, if you can't give them a simple answer, they get frustrated. They pull their tail underneath their legs and they run off. So second source of capital, again, borrowed money, can come in different forms, and each type of debt has its own underwriting criteria. So there's not a universal answer. But we do know that when it comes to debt, what does apply are the 3 C's. However, there are different sources of capital, and some look at all 3 C's. Some look at business credit only, some look at personal credit only, some don't look at credit at all. So what's our 2 cents on debt? Well, debt is leverage, and that can be smart. Most successful businesses will use debt to be able to grow more than what they could just with their own earned income. So that's okay. The beauty of what you and I do, the beauty is you and I can help any client qualify for debt-based capital. That's our secret sauce, isn't it? In fact, we can guarantee, you and I can guarantee in writing, irrefutably, that we can help any client get at least 100,000. And that's powerful. Now, that's a strong statement. We've had people come to us and say, "Oh, that's bullshit. You can't guarantee that." Oh, we do, and we will. We put it in writing. We had the Federal Trade Commission come to us and say, "Hey, you can't guarantee that." And we said, I argued that point. And we argued that point, and guess what? We continue to guarantee it. They retracted. We can absolutely, you and I can absolutely, legally, ethically, and morally make this guarantee. It's been reviewed by attorney generals. It's been reviewed by the FTC. It's even been brought forth from a criminal perspective. The FBI has looked at this statement and said, wait. Are they doing something okay? Is this legitimate? Absolutely, it is. So you and I have a unique ability to help small businesses both generate earned income, if that's what they would like to do. It's up to them, they're the client. And those that are looking for debt, you and I absolutely, irrefutably, and absolute truth can help any small business get at least $100,000. That's powerful, isn't it? Too good to be true? Not at all. Not at all. It's all in writing. Okay, so those are the first two sources of capital. Let's go ahead and look at the third. And all of you that are white label partners, you received this agenda this morning, right? So already I'm getting requests, hey, can you send me this? We've already sent you this agenda. We sent you a reminder this morning. Maybe it went into your promotion folder, spam folder, whatever, but we said, hey, please join us for training this morning. And we sent you this agenda. So look in your email, it is there, if you're a white label partner. All right, so what's the third source of capital? Equity-based capital. This is essentially an investment, quote unquote, that's put into the company, not in the expectation of being repaid back like a debt, because that would be number two, but instead we're wanting to share in future profits. So let's say that you went online and you bought some shares of Amazon today, and you spent $1,000 buying shares or partial shares of Amazon. Are you expecting Amazon to pay you back? Do they now owe you that $1,000 plus interest? No, you became an equity investor. So you did that based upon the hope that the stock will grow, capital appreciation, possibly some dividend payouts and so forth. So equity is obviously different than debt. It's one of the three sources of capital, isn't it? Now, where can the equity injections come from? Well, it could come from one of the founders, the person that started the business. They could also bring in what we'd call third-party investors. Now, we get a lot of pushback when we talk about this to clients, because sometimes they'll say, well, oh, no. I don't want to give up any control of my business. Well, wait a second. We didn't talk about giving up control. We talked about someone giving you money to put into your business that you don't have to pay back. In other words, it's not debt. We didn't talk about control. So it's so important to understand, and we're not attorneys, we're paralegals, but we're not attorneys, so we can't give legal advice. But just keep in mind that the role and responsibilities of investors are determined by the documentation that the owner of the business creates and that is offered to them. So I can tell you, when we were getting started several years ago, we were tight on cash. And I went to a private investor. The initial investment was $400,000, just around $400,000. So I sold a small portion of the business to an investor several years ago, CPA, very knowledgeable guy, for $400,000. What did he do? He wired $400,000 into the account. Now, did we, keep him abreast and have monthly reporting and such? Of course, but there was no loss of control. So only someone that is uninformed would say, oh, well, I don't want to take on equity-based capital because that means I would lose control. Not necessarily. It depends upon how the relationship is set up. And so our 2 cents on equity-based capital was many entrepreneurs underemphasize equity-based capital. What was really cool about the investor that we had, his name's Jeff, different than the Jeff you hear me talk about with our top performer from last year that had 400 enrollments. This is Jeff Reagan, different person. So the great thing about Mr. Reagan is that as we grew and we needed additional capital, I was able to contact him and continue to access more and more capital to fuel that rapid growth. So in many cases, investors will give you that first 100, 250, 400, 500,000 to get you up and going, but they may very well be willing to put more and more in as they see success. So what have we covered today? There are 3 sources of capital and only 3 sources to start and grow a business. There's earned income, which you and I can help people with. If they just simply need some earned income, we can plug them in, and you and I can get monthly bank deposits going into their bank account. So now they can afford to pay themselves a payroll. They can get that company car if they want. They can make sure that they have benefits for themselves and their family. You and I can provide that to anyone. No question. Second is debt. That's money that we borrow, but we promise to pay it back. Avoid at all costs people that come to you and say, I just want that free money, right? Just send me $100,000. I don't have to pay back. Good fucking luck, right? That's not the way that our economy works. If you've got a 501c3, you've got a grant writer, then great, go after grants. But that's not the for-profit world that you and I operate in together. So debt is great. It's leverage. Of course, we don't want to take on more debt than we need. And the bottom line is you and I can help any client get at least 100,000. And I know, I've got one white label partner, man, he's honest like white on rice. I've got a client that needs $10 million. He screams it in emails and texts. Well, great. We're going to have to figure out what the right source or sources of capital would be for your client for their $10 million capital request. And to no surprise, we're going to have to make sure they meet the underwriting criteria based upon some combination of the 3 C's, which are determined based upon the type of debt we're going after. And then the third source of capital we just talked about is equity. And that's money we get that we don't have to pay back. And so that is an outstanding source that many people overlook. So what do you want to do now with this information? And I'd love your feedback. Was this helpful or not? Al and Alfred and Andre and Bernard and Charles and Charletta and Jeanette and Joseph and Lon and Pauline and Sonia and Scott and Shondell, Terrence, Tony, and others. Was this helpful for each of you talking about the 3 sources of capital? Is this a good reminder? Do you feel better positioned now? And then secondly, what is your action step going forward? Well, if you're not a white label partner, it's a great time to become one. It's free and easy. All you need to do is just let us know you want to become one. We get you plugged in. And then you're going to be positioned to help small business owners access capital through any combination of these 3 sources, right? You and I can help them generate earned income. We can help them access debt, and we can help them access equity if that's what they would like. We're not going to tell them what to do. We're going to gather information and create a plan based upon their mitigating specifics. So as a white label partner, you have 3 different campaigns that we're able to help together people with. The access to capital, which is our longstanding legacy program, and that is where we put in writing that we will work with them to raise a minimum of 100,000. Again, I know some people need more than 100,000, but we will not go on record to guarantee more than 100. Will we work with them to get more than 100? Sure, as much as they want, as much as they need. Awesome, awesome. But our guarantee that we make, which is in writing, which has been reviewed by anyone, everyone, pretty much every regulator has now looked at our guarantee, and there's been no recommendations or let alone requirements to make any changes to our contracts. Our contracts are valid, legal, and we follow them, right? And if there's anything that gives us a black eye in the communities, we will follow our agreement. We will do what we promised to do, and we ask the other party to do the same. So become a white label partner if you're not. If you're not, let us know. We can get you the agreement. Costs nothing to get set up as a white label partner. You'll have the 3 campaigns, which is where I digress. The access to capital for those businesses that don't have a commercial address yet. They're not formed. We can get them set up, and they can even plug into the Chapman Fund. Lon's on here today. He and I were texting or emailing yesterday about the Chapman Fund. My gosh, why would people not want to pursue the Chapman Fund? The Chapman Fund goes from a minimum of 30 up to 250,000. So 30,000 to 250,000. It's not through a bank, it's through a taxing authority. So it's much easier to get. And it's debt, it has to be repaid, but great terms. It can be used in combination with others. So that's part of the startup program. And then we have the SBA Express, which we've talked a lot about. So those are the 3 campaigns that our white label partners have access to. And the beautiful thing, and what many people tell me that they like most about the white label partnership is, number one, it's good income, right? This is not get rich quick. This is not Ponzi, MLM, network marketing, and to buy anything, you don't pay anything to become a white label partner. But you make a good earnest income, right? You should be generating. Now, you set the client pricing, so it's up to you, but you should make right around 10 grand per client. Now, what's interesting is if the clients sign up through you as a white label partner and they have a successful capital raise, then you make around $10,000, depending upon your pricing. If a client signs up and quits, they still owe you $10,000. So you can't lose because you have a written agreement that will fulfill, you and our end will fulfill, and we're going to ask the client to do the same. So if you get them under contract, you're going to make good money, whether they stick with it or not. We want them to stick with it, of course. So as a white label partner, we're hoping to help 8 to 10 clients a month. And so again, probably not even enough income to change your lifestyle, but as a side income to earn an extra 6 digits, not bad. Now, that's gross income. We have expenses, of course. Every business has expenses. You might set yourself up on payroll. We have one gentleman, he's buying a BMW. He calls it a Beamer. I call it a BMW for his company car. So, I mean, you might have expenses out of you probably will have expenses out of your business, but this is material. And then, of course, our support information. So, questions, comments, concerns. There are 3 sources of capital. There are only 3. Only 3. They're not 4. It doesn't matter where you go or who you work with. There's only 3. Only 3. First of which is earned income, we've talked about. Second of which is debt, which we've talked about. The third is equity-based capital. You and I, through our white label partnership, you and I can help people with any combination of those 3. They could do 1 of those, 2 of those, 3 of those. It's up to them. They're the client, right? We're not going to tell them what they need to do. We will assess their situation and give them advice, of course. And have we seen this work? Have we seen people earn great incomes? Absolutely. Have we seen people have successful capital raises? Absolutely. Have we seen people raise equity-based capital? Well, I just gave you my personal testimony that it works, right? So it does work. Simple action steps. Just plug in, become a white label partner. We'll train you, we'll support you, we'll assist you. You'll set the client pricing. You're in control. So you do it. You're the CEO of your business, but it's a great opportunity to earn some income and help people. Questions, comments, concerns anyone has before we wrap up today's discussion? Questions, comments, concerns? Anyone? All right. Well, have a great day. Let's have a productive day, and we'll see you back Monday morning, same time, same place. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.